I had moved into my tiny dorm room with my longtime friend Nick at Hubble Hall a week before. Now my first college classes were starting. Over the summer we met with academic advisors who helped us pick our classes and schedule. Whoever mine was did me no favors. I mean, I do take responsibility because ultimately the choices were mine, but sound advice from an experienced sage was lacking. Math had not been a solid subject for me since like the 3rd grade. Introducing fractions and letters made no sense. You can't add 1/4 to 2/3. It just shouldn't be done. If A plus B equals C, why do I care what A equals? College algebra for me was scheduled for 3 days a week at 7 a.m. I don't know why I agreed to that, but I did. Not a good plan. Math was bad enough for me, but having the class before 9 a.m. when I'm living away from home for the first time was a terrible idea. Midway through the semester, I did okay. I probably had about a B- at that point. For me in that class, it was a victory. I only had 2 absences that semester, but each one certainly signified a point on a line chart where my grades took a nosedive, and then a nosedive. After a night of partying at my friend Paul's, I was too messed up to go to class and I skipped. I started making D's. This probably brought my average down to a C. Okay, passing is passing. I kept plugging away a few weeks. Toward the end of the semester, I skipped again. I just didn't feel like getting up. It was too chilly outside or something. When it's that early in the morning, it's hard to stay motivated. I went to class the next time and I had a test. A terrible, terrible test. I scored something like 42 out of 100. And I wouldn't get much better. Getting a 60 on a quiz would now be considered a win for me. I struggled and studied. I was never ever the type to get a tutor or ask for help. This was a mistake because what good does studying do if you don't even understand the language it's in? Outside the Pythagorean theorem, I was lost. Quadratic equation? Nonsense. I genuinely tried, but it was a lost cause. It was like I was wearing rain boots in quicksand. My feet were dry, but I was sinking. I was stubborn. I was stuck in my ways, but it was no use. What worked in high school would not work here. At the end of the semester, when the grades were published, I swallowed deep and I looked. Was there any way that I could pass? Could my strong B's and C's in the first half of the semester be enough to pass me? I knew it would be close. I found the line, Math 131, MWF, 7A to 8A, D. I passed. This class was not part of my major. D was good enough. D is for diploma. That's good enough for me is what they say, right? No way in hell was I going to retake this class. It would be tempting fate, I believed. In high school, a D would have failed. We didn't even have Ds. Anything less than a C was an F. I was relieved that I passed. I wasn't proud, but I would move on. I would never schedule a 7 a.m. class again. In fact, I only scheduled one 8 a.m. class the rest of my college days. It would be voice and phonetics, required for my major and only offered at 8 a.m. I had work to do. I had always been a dependable A or B student. My first semester in college netted me a D in math. It was time to wake up. See, high school, junior high, and elementary school were simple routines. For the most part, it was the same 6 or 7 classes every day, 5 days a week, 1 hour. College, still a routine, just broken up. College was much more catered to your personal schedule. Typically, I took 5 classes. You'd have classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 1 hour each day. Or you'd have them Tuesday and Thursday for 90 minutes each day. So instead of going to class about 35 hours a week, it was more like 15 hours. And you paid for it. But you pretty much set your own schedule and you picked your own classes, except for the core classes. Everybody must take those. Like Math 31, History 101 was one of them. Dr. Messer taught my History 101 class. This was a 2-day-a-week class around 9 a.m. I remember the first day very clearly. I was a freshman in my first semester. It was at the end of August. I didn't know anybody in my class, so I just picked a random spot and parked myself, my bag at my feet and my pencil in my desk. 9 a.m. came around and a guy walked in pushing a bike to the front of the class. He was tall and slender. He removed his helmet and revealed long, wavy hair. Somebody commented loudly, "Oh shit, it's Kenny G." The man at the front of the class rolled his eyes. He dangled his helmet onto the handlebar. "Hello, class. I'm Dr. Messer." Crap. He's in class 30 seconds and our teacher is insulted. This was going to be rough. The next words out of his mouth were horrifying. Look to your left, look to your right. You or one of those two people you just looked at will either fail or drop the course. Immediately a person got up. Oh, hell no! And he left. I was scared, but I'd stick it out. That first day of class, there was about 35 of us. I pushed on and did not miss a single day of that class. I took notes, I read, I actually studied. I loved history and English because it's not typically multiple choice or fill in the blank. You had to write and argue. I read and wrote and pushed through as our class shrunk and shrunk. The problem with that class was that Dr. Messer treated it as if everybody was a history major. Most weren't. In fact, I'd go on to take 3 or 4 advanced history classes with actual history majors a few years later. And this was harder than those classes. I don't know what grades everybody was making, but I could tell that I was either the best student or one of the top 2. And I got my butt kicked. One of my high school friends, Steven, also had Dr. Messer's course, just a different class. We talked about the class and he confirmed he was getting crushed too. He was a top student as well. And other folks abandoned his class. I don't remember her name, but there was this girl who was a radio and television major like myself, and we co-hosted a weekly radio show one semester. She said she had his class and she failed it. She went so far as to consider sleeping with him to pass, she said. Now, he didn't proposition her. This is all from her end. I don't want to suggest that he even knew about her plan. She didn't pursue that action, though, and took her F. It blew me away that somebody would even think of doing that, and not because he kind of looked like Kenny G. So I just kept plugging away, and by the time we were assigned our final, there was 12 of us left. We started at 35. Messer was wrong. Instead of one of you fell or dropped, it was more like one of you will remain. It was pathetic. The topic was something about the theme of early American settlement and colonialism or something. I don't remember. We had to write an 8 to 10 pager on recurring blah, blah, blah. I ended up going all in and wrote like 12 to 14 pages. I felt like it was articulate, had legit points, and was on target. It was not just simply throwing the kitchen sink, but it was close. I wanted to prove that I paid attention and I had a grasp of the class. I think I did the math and figured that I needed to get an A on the final to score a B for the class. A week later, I looked online and the grades were posted. I got a C. Damn. I was easily the second best, if not the very best student in the class. I went to the department and retrieved my paper, and I got a C on the exam. There was in large red letters written at the top of the page just one phrase. City upon the hill! Exclamation point. Our whole class boiled down to 4 words, and I missed it. So simple, but I guess I needed to make it more than that. I asked Steven what he got, and he got a B in the class. And he got the City Upon a Hill theme as well. I wasn't jealous or bitter. Steven was a great student, particularly in math and sciences. We were great students in Bonham, getting mostly A's. Now in an intro class in college, I got a C, and he was a B. Between the D I got in algebra and the C I got in history, this was easily my worst semester. I would take classes even more seriously. I'd pay attention to the details, and I'd be more successful, making the dean's list several times. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Keep it simple and defend yourself. Big picture, pithy rapport.